So as you join on board, I would like you to continue sharing, continue commenting. Let's hear from you. See how you relate with these different topics that I'll be sharing on. So when I talk about stress, the days that we are living in today, they are quite challenging, and I guarantee you, a lot of people out there are stressed. You could be watching and you're going through a certain type of stress, and you're really looking forward to an encouragement. You're looking forward to somebody reaching out and speaking into your life, and a word or something that could actually cheer you up and pull you out of your situation a bit. Not permanently necessarily, because really we are in this and we have to face it. But the fact is, it is quite stressing. Somebody has lost their job, their source of income, something that they may be dependent on for a long time. Somebody is struggling with raising a family without a job, without an income. Somebody is struggling with a lot of other things, anxieties. Life has presented you, has placed you in a position where you are wondering what to do with what the little that you have, in a very challenging situation as now. And so, because of this, I understand that many families, many individuals, many people are going through some form of stress, if not depression. And you know what? Depression is actually the climax. It's actually the topmost level of stress. But we cannot. If I think we need to handle the way of avoiding to get ourselves to the level of being in depression by handling our stress levels. And so I would like to present three characters in the Bible, in the Word of God, that were faced with some form of difficulty, and I believe that they were stressed up because, judging from their reactions and their responses to the situations that was at hand. And one of them is Jonah. Jonah is I think Jonah is stressed when he's being asked by God to go and preach to a rebellious people in Nineveh. And he doesn't like the idea, he doesn't like the people, he doesn't, yes, he's obedient to God, he's responding to God in obedience, but then the idea of going to a people who he detests because of their lifestyle, because of their cultures, to preach to them and to warn them against the impending danger that is actually a punishment of their sins, is something that is really causing some issues between Jonah and God. And he even, apart from arguing with God, this guy goes ahead and journeys towards a different direction. And I think Jonah was actually coping. He was coping with his stress situation. He was coping by running away from his responsibility, from where God had sent him. He is coping with his stress. So we will be discussing a little bit about Jonah. And another character that comes to my mind is Moses. Another, again, he's being asked by God to carry out a responsibility. And because of the relationship he had with Egypt, with the Pharaoh, and also the position that he was in, he was just but a shepherd at that point in time, and he was old. This guy is wondering, God, how can I be the person that you send to deliver Israelites from the hand of oppression? We don't get into so much details. The Bible doesn't give us a lot of details about how Moses had to deal with that situation, but I can guarantee you, as a human being, this was a stressful situation. Think about it. It was really a stressful situation. The third person that comes to my mind is Nehemiah. Nehemiah is a cupbearer in the king's palace, and he's receiving the news of his city, his country, his town having been burnt down, and there is no hope in that place. And Nehemiah is one character that stands out in the way he handles the stressful situation. He is so sad even before the king, and the king notices the sadness, and he dares to ask him. And it was even just being asked by the king why your countenance is so downcast, why you are sad in his presence. Trust you me, you don't want to be in that situation, because Nehemiah was facing some real danger, some real issues right there. And it took a lot for him to even respond to the king. It took a lot. It took humility. It took faith. It took another level of faith to respond to the king concerning what was ailing his heart. You are going through a stressful situation. And I don't want to sound insensitive. I know that it is a lot that you're facing out there. I know that it's too much, to the point you are being stressed about it, to the point you are so worried, you are not at peace at all. It is a big issue. It is a big deal to you. But today I want to introduce to you another way of looking at the situations that may be surrounding you, and they are taking away your peace. They are taking away your mind. They are taking away your concentration. You cannot just have a good sleep because of the situations. There's another way of looking at them. You could be a Jonah. You are faced by a situation that you think this is beyond you. This one can only take God to come out of it. It can only take God to handle these people. It can only take God, not a human being like me, not a human being like you. Maybe you have tried looking for help from people, from men, and they have disappointed. And you're thinking that this is the end of you. Maybe you're just having your last meal or your last opportunity, your last call, and that is it. You don't have any other way. You feel like you've been pushed so much on the wall. You've been pushed to the edge. You're about to just fall over to the other side of the cliff. And you're wondering, where can you get the help? You may just be a Jonah. That in the sense of, those times of wondering, you are contemplating some things that may take you away from where God wants you to be. Because trust me, as long as you're alive, your life purpose is still hanging on your neck. And you've got to fulfill it. God has intentions about your life. He says, I have good plans for you. I have good plans for you. That is what God says. No matter the situation, no matter what you are facing, He still stands tall and tells you, I still have a good plan for you. I still have a good plan for you. So instead of running away, instead of looking at excuses to blame God, excuses to blame life, and to even do all those nasty things against your life, against other people. People cope with stress in different ways. Some even go to levels of committing crime, doing just a lot of other things to just cope with their stress. Doing drugs, being problematic, being violent in the family, at home, indulging in extramarital or premarital sex for the sake of getting away from the stress. But trust me, those things don't take the stress away. They don't. In fact, they add to the stress. So how then do you handle them? I suggest that you face them. You face them head on. Don't run away from your stress. Because if that stress is a reality, then the best way to deal with reality is to face that reality, not run away from it. Unless, of course, you have illusions of your reality. Illusions of your stress. There are stresses that actually are not real. But I'm talking about real situations here. Face them. Look at Jonah. He had to face his reality in the belly of the fish. But at the end of the day, what happened? He accomplished what God had intended for him. So whether you are running from it, Whatever you're doing to hide from your stress, the best solution, and I think this could shorten the span of time you spend in your stress, is facing the stress. Face the situation. Be bold enough to stand up to that situation. And you know what? When you do that with the help of God, you are going to overcome. Because you don't have to face them by yourself. Jonah did not have to face opposite of God's direction. In fact, by facing away from God, he attracted more problems. He attracted the waves of the sea. And that caused him a lot of trouble. 3 days in the fish's belly. That is a lot of stress, man. No eating, no conversations with anyone. And at the end of 3 days, he found himself on the shores of Nineveh, where God intended for him to preach. So, obeying God, you don't have, sometimes standing up to your stress is a way of actually obeying God, because he does not bring you into a situation that you cannot handle. So when he brings you into a situation and you feel like it's overwhelming, it's too much, you cannot handle it, the best way to go about it is obey him by facing that situation. Obey him by facing that situation, not running or hiding away from the situation. Because as we learn from Jonah, he still ended up fulfilling the purpose. It was a stressful situation. And you may be wondering, what is the purpose of God in this COVID-19 situation? Where is the purpose of God in me lacking food in my house, in me losing my job, in me losing my family, losing my whatever you have lost, losing my business? What is the purpose of God in all this? Trust you me, millions of people are asking the same questions. But what sets you aside is not the questions that you ask. It is the steps that you take. I mean, this is the time to just concentrate on God. Look up to him. And behold, he will clarify these things. Behold, he will point you to a direction that you may not have known in the onset. You may not have seen it. But this moment of being alone, being quarantined, being locked down somewhere, could be just your moment of keying into the heavens, keying into the spiritual realm, and resonating with the heart of God, getting to actually know your purpose in life. This could just be the moment when you get a little bit, in that solitude, in that lonely moment, become a little bit selfish and ask God some things concerning your personal life. Do not ask God, why me, why me? No. The right question to ask is, God, what would you want to do with me, even amidst all this? In the midst of the storm, God, what would you like me to do? In the furnace of fire, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the fourth man in the fire, there is something that he was there to accomplish. He was there to prove a point. But he was there because he was invited. The conversation between this young man and the king was kind of inviting to the fourth man in the fire. What are your conversations in your stress situations, in your stressed moment? What are your conversations? What are you confessing? Are you confessing defeat? Are you confessing good? Are you confessing life? Or are you confessing death? What are your conversations with God? What are your conversations with your environment? I want to suggest to you that those conversations determine how the stress level goes. They determine what directions you take, even in handling the stress. It is high time that we asked the right questions, that we had the right conversations from the onset. It doesn't have to get to the climax. It doesn't have to become bad, too bad, for you to turn to God and start asking the right questions and start moving in the right direction. Move, change your direction. Move in the right direction. Do not cope with your stress. Actually, face it. Face the reality. Look at Moses. I like the way he is being very honest with God. He is very cautious. I can see a lot of caution being taken by Moses when God is approaching him to send him to Egypt. He knows the kind of mess he had caused there. He understands the consequences that await him if he goes just by himself. And so he is here arguing with God, arguing, trying to get God's heart first before he takes the step. That is a conversation I would like to have with God. Faced with a situation that is stressful, is very risky, I would like to have a conversation where God really defines for me this purpose to the point I can have the confidence to face whatever risk I have to face. We are not ready to face a risk that we don't understand. That is human nature. And I understand if you don't understand why you have to go through what you're going through. I do understand because we are human. However, it is only important that you face towards the right direction and ask those questions to the right person, to the right audience. God, what is it that you want to do with me in this situation? Yes, I am under lockdown. Yes, I am defeated. I am beaten completely because I've got nothing. I've got no means of provision for my family. But God, what is it that you would want me to do in this situation? And when I am facing this situation, God, who should I say that has sent me to face the situation? Who should I say that is backing me up? Who should I say, who should I claim to be associated with so that this stress, this situation will favor me? Those are the questions that we ought to be asking so that we are able to not only deal with the stress, but also build our capacity for future eventualities of the stress level, of the stress situations. We are not just handling a pandemic here. We are handling a lot of things connected to the pandemic. A lot of things. A lot of families are falling apart. People cannot just handle, couples cannot just handle each other in this quarantine situation. Children cannot just be tamed. Teenagers cannot just be handled. There's a lot that is going on. And it takes the right mindset and asking the right questions, facing the right direction to come out of this successfully. And that is what I'm calling all of us to. Let us change our way of approaching this issue. Let us change our approach of handling stress. Because at the end of the day, when we handle it that way, it will cease to be a stressful situation. They will turn into moments of blessing. They will turn into into defining moments. People go through defining moments when they are stressed. People are able to find themselves. They are able to know. Look at Joseph. He is able to find himself in a prison cell. What happened? He found himself there under very terrible circumstances. But through that, he is connected to some people who are able to recall him from the prison and connect him to the king, to the Pharaoh, and that connection leads him to becoming the second in command from the prison to being the prime minister of the country. How are you handling your situation? What are you learning from that situation? And are you even keen enough to learn anything in that stress? Are you keen enough to learn anything in that situation? May I discuss the person of Nehemiah as well? Nehemiah receives the news of his city being burnt down. and he is in the line of duty. The man is stressed in a place where you ought not to be stressed. He is stressed up. And thank God. I thank God, because the first thing that Nehemiah does when he receives the news, even before he goes to do his duty, is this man prays. This man actually consults God. I like it. You belong to God. You are a human being. He created you. The people you are stressing over are actually his creation. The city that is brought down, that is burnt down, the walls that have been destroyed, they are his business. They are his business, not your business. So, one way or the other, whichever direction you're looking at it, your stress situation could actually be God's business. But you're very busy trying to handle them through human means. You're busy trying to solve those problems through human means. How are you going to succeed? It's God's business. There are things that you don't have control over, and you get stressed about them. You cannot do anything about them in your own strength, with your own brain. You can do nothing about them. They only take God. It only takes God to handle them. Could you please, my brother and my sister, just do the right thing, like our brother Nehemiah? Talk to God about it. Yes, I know that people in such times, they tend to run away from God faster than they want to run towards him. Because you think that God is not there. He is not watching. He's not seeing. He's been there. Since day one, he's been there. Are you willing to let him in? Are you ready to allow him, to give him room? That is the question. Nehemiah gives him room the moment he gets the news. Yes, you are fired. Yes, your business is going down. Yes, your family is losing direction. But who is the God over all that? And are you ready? Are you willing? Are you sober and confident enough to face that God, the God of that situation, and tell him about it? It calls for a lot, I know. You have to be right with him. You have to be right with God for you to face him with such a situation. But why don't you take the first step? Yeah, you're stressing over it. Take the first step. Mend your ways with God. Talk to him about it. Yes. Talk to God about it. Let him get involved. Yes, let him in. That is what Nehemiah does from the onset. What if we did that from the onset of every situation that we find ourselves stressed about? Involve God from the onset. And there is a lot that we can discuss about Nehemiah. There is a lot that is preached and talked about Nehemiah and his success in rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. I don't want to go into that. I want to remain on that first point. Involve God from the onset. Don't wait until things are too bad. Don't wait until it is too late to call on him. Don't wait until you've got no voice at all to call on him. Don't wait until there is no hope left. Don't wait until everything else is destroyed, that you've got nothing to use to rebuild, that you've got no one around you to even consult, to even join hands and help each other rebuild. Don't wait until it is too late, brother. Don't wait until it's all gone, my sister. Start from the very onset. Involve God. Involve the author of life. Involve the giver of opportunities. Involve him from the onset. And see how things unfold.